Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Progressive Pulse. We have a lot to talk about today. Thank you for being here. Perhaps our 10th episode, 12th episode. Not sure where we're at right now, but the show is growing. Um, Today, Donald Trump will make a major announcement at the White House. That's going to happen at the top of the hour. So we're going to give people a little bit of a chance to trickle in. They might start a little bit earlier. They always could start a little bit later, but it's good that we're ready to go. Uh, you know, let's say you're at work right now, you can have this on in the background. Let's say you're driving, have this on in the car, because as soon as he comes out to speak, I've already got the feed pulled up. We're going to go right to it. We're going to be sure to talk through it as well. If he says something that is outlandish, we're going to push back. We're going to react in real time to what Trump is doing, what he's saying today. So appreciate you for being here. If you're just tuning in, let me know in the chat where you're watching from. I'd love to know where my viewers are watching from. I know I have viewers across the US and even around the world. So let me know where you're tuning in from today. I'm in Southern California right now. It's 10:30 local time, but I wanted to bring you this feed right before Trump is set to speak at the White House, because why would we miss it? This could be a big announcement today, especially amid serious speculation about the president's health. The president was MIA all weekend, basically a ghost. And of course, there were official verified photographs of him taken by the White House press pool. So we know Trump is alive. It would be ridiculous to say that he's not alive. And there's been a lot of rumors and speculation. A lot of it is untrue and unverified. However, what is absolutely true is that this administration is clearly hiding something from us about his health, and they are trying to pretend like his health is not an issue, when in reality, we know he has chronic vein insufficiency, which again means that he's not getting enough blood circulation throughout his body. That leads to his hands bruising, his ankles are swollen. We all know this. But the administration has told us that the reason his hands are so bruised is because he's shaking people's hands. Now, I understand that could maybe make sense on a day where a man at his age is shaking dozens of people's hands all day long, but that cannot be the excuse for every single day we see his hands increasingly bruised and swollen. And for them to say that is such an insult of our intelligence. They're telling us that what we can see with our own eyes is not the truth. They do the same thing with the Epstein files. They told us they had the files. They said they were on Pam Bondi's desk, Donald Trump's attorney general's desk. And they said that they'll release all the files within the calendar year. But then they told us that the files don't exist and that there isn't actually any files. Now they tell us the files exist, but if Donald Trump is in the files, it's a Democrat hoax created by Obama and the leftists, I guess, and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, they say, and Bill Clinton. So anyway, this administration loses more and more credibility every single day, which is why it is so crucial we stay up to date on what they're saying and we continue to expose their lies and their corruption, which we will see a ton of that today. If you're just tuning in, welcome. There's dozens of you here already. Appreciate you for being here right at this top of the hour, because Donald Trump is going to speak at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll be ready for that once he goes live. Before then, I want to just get you caught up on everything that's happening, talk about some of the items he's going to bring up during this conversation. It's been rumored that he's going to discuss the operation that he wants to enact in Chicago. If you don't know what I'm talking about yet, Donald Trump went to Los Angeles. He sent the National Guard here. Then he's doing what he's doing in D.C. Welcome from the UK, by the way, Amanda. By the way, I see a lot of new viewers today. Welcome. Thank you for being here. This is a community. The beauty of this, as opposed to mainstream media, is you can chat with me directly, and we can have a back and forth. So if some news breaks, let me know. If there's something you want me to address, let me know. And be sure to actually click the physical like button. You can click the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It helps amplify this video so people can see it. And be sure you're subscribed as well so you never miss an episode. But Donald Trump is set to announce today, in all likelihood, his plans for Chicago. He's tweeting nonstop about Chicago this morning. In fact, let me go ahead and pull that up for everybody so we can take a look at what he posted about Chicago. Is there any viewers from Chicago here today? Not yet, but I would love to know who is from Chicago. I see we have a viewer from Detroit. Know that Donald Trump is coming for Detroit. He's going to probably deploy troops in Detroit. He's basically targeting every Democratic stronghold that votes blue, that happens to be an urban area, to send troops to make an example out of us. Okay, take a look at this. Everybody see this okay? Here's what Trump is posting. At least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. 8 people were killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon. Make America great again. Now, it's not, unheard of to say Chicago has crime. I was born in Chicago. I've been in Chicago. I go to Chicago every year. Okay. Chicago is a massive city and there's crime. There's petty crime. There's gun violence. This is not news. This has been the way Chicago has been for decades. So first of all, to put it on Pritzker's responsibility, or to say that Pritzker is the reason for crime in Chicago, is just a MAGA talking point. Donald Trump has no solution for crime in Chicago, just like he has no solution for gun violence in this country. He's perfectly fine with us shooting each other, so long as the Republican Party is compromised by the NRA. But to say Chicago is the most dangerous city in the world by far, this is what Donald Trump does. He deals in such extremes, such hyperbole. He says something is the worst ever, and then somehow in 1 week's time, it's the safest ever. So with DC, he says DC is a war zone. DC is the most dangerous city in the country. And now suddenly DC is the safest city in the country? Like, you didn't actually do anything. I see videos from my fellow creators, like Jolly, the Good Ginger. He's in DC. He's a veteran. And he's had a group of veterans go around Washington, D.C., asking the National Guard, what are you doing? And they're picking up trash. They're standing around doing nothing. It shows you what regard Donald Trump has for our military, which is very little. Let's see what else he posted. Remember this? He says, Chicago is the murder capital of the world. That is not a good way to keep the citizens of Chicago and really the citizens of Illinois on your side. And this is pretty insane rhetoric because he's going to bring the troops to Chicago. The people of Chicago are not going to be happy about this. This is going to disrupt the local economy, the state economy. Donald Trump talks a lot about how people are going out in D.C. again. Well, I was just in D.C. a few months ago, and D.C. was perfectly normal. People were going out in every neighborhood, young people, old people. Everybody was out and about. It was like typical lively D.C. But suddenly Donald Trump wants you to believe that because the National Guard is around, people are now going out in D.C. Like, nobody in their right mind would voluntarily choose to go to D.C. right now. It just does not feel the same. There's troops everywhere with giant guns. And we're just waiting for an accident to happen. It's a very sad situation, what's happening there. So, by the way, a lot more people have joined. Welcome to the Progressive Pulse. We are live across the country right now. Donald Trump is set to make an announcement at the White House. We've got the feed pulled up, ready to go. As soon as he starts going, we'll go to the White House. We'll watch the whole thing because what's different between us and Trump supporters? We actually pay attention to everything that Trump says and does. Trump supporters, they get 2 minutes, 5 minutes of Donald Trump's daily action. We pay attention to everything Trump does because we know people are actually affected by his policy. For Trump supporters, it's all about how can we own the libs? How can we make liberal snowflakes cry? How can we make Democrats lose? To them, it's a game. It's like football. For us, we're dealing in reality. This is about life and death. This is about people's careers, people's livelihoods. This is about the economy. This is about human rights. Okay? And we're about to see human rights under attack once again. Donald Trump is going to discuss invading Venezuela. He has troops ready to go in Venezuela. And it is unbelievable. Other media shows Trump already spending king now for 15 minutes. Let me see. You say Trump is already speaking? I don't believe he is, but let me see. Thank you for the heads up, just in case. I want to check this out. Because I'm on Associated Press here, and I'm not seeing it yet. Nothing on Fox either. Yeah, he's supposed to come out at 2 p.m. Eastern, and he's usually even a few minutes late. Trump is speaking now already. I'm not seeing that. Let me see. Every feed I'm seeing is he's not out yet. So I hope you're not accidentally watching something old, or maybe they're running something of him already that he did a few days ago. But he is not yet out at the White House. At least not on my end. So we will wait and see. But he should be out at the top of the hour, which is coming up pretty quickly now. Seeing other stations with Hegseth and Bondi at his side. I've just flipped through each station. Let me see again. CNN. Well, Hegseth and Bondi, that you might be seeing tape from last week when he spoke, when he did that announcement about DC, and he had, his cabinet there in the White House. Yeah, that was probably DC. If he's talking about the homeless, they might be playing archival of last week, because I just checked every channel: conservative, liberal, Fox, NBC, and he's not out yet. But that's okay, because he is planning on coming out in the next 15 minutes or so, and this should be explosive. We'll see if other members of his cabinet join today, because I would be surprised if he doesn't try to show some type of solidarity, unity within his cabinet. He has obviously right now concerned a lot of people over his health. And I think people are probably speculating whether there's chaos inside the administration or not. Rightfully so. I mean, the guy went totally MIA over the weekend. And people are rightfully concerned. And the administration is not telling us the full picture. Okay, it looks like Associated Press briefly cut inside. So it looks like they're getting ready to go. Their cameras are set up. And we should have our answer within the next 14, 15 minutes. But folks, the other important thing that he's going to talk about, just so everybody knows the context, just so everyone is prepared, he's going to mention moving the space station from the Space Command. He's moving it from Colorado to Alabama. Just a terrible use of resources, just a distraction, just another opportunity to try and punish a democratic state like Colorado, to try and give love to a state like Alabama, which could be good for Alabama, but again, it's just a distraction. There's no reason for that to be happening, right? There's so many more important things he needs to address. They're doing everything but talk about groceries. They're doing everything but talk about how he has no peace deal in Ukraine and Russia. Remember, it felt like 2 weeks ago he was going to get that peace deal done, and he had the summit with Putin where he spent billions of taxpayer dollars to give him a red carpet and a flyover, and he put a war criminal known as Putin in the presidential motorcade and smiled and laughed with him while Putin was literally bombing civilians in Ukraine. And before that meeting, Trump said that he was going to have a peace deal. Then he walked it back. He said, well, it's just a conversation. Well, we haven't heard a peep about Ukraine in weeks now. And Trump has essentially given up on that. So another campaign promise broken. And of course, it would be a shame not to talk about Gaza and how Donald Trump has basically walked away from that situation as well. And he's given Israel the green light to do whatever they want, which is such a human rights catastrophe. I mean, it is just so sad. And it's really fucked up what's happening. And Trump is not even concerned with that, which is unfortunate because he'll still direct our tax dollars to that chaos. It's really sad. But yeah, he's coming to speak at the top of the hour. Thank you for the almost 50 of you who are here already. And I'm expecting a lot more people to trickle in as we prepare for this major announcement. This should be big. Let's see. Let's see what else. So we talked about Venezuela. We talked about Chicago. Has anybody from the chat from Chicago yet? Because I would love to know what people in Chicago think about all this. Because, yeah, it's really, really sad. Just 10 minutes and then he'll be out. By the way, now is a good opportunity to let you know, if you've just found me on YouTube, I'm mostly on TikTok and Instagram, so you can find me there, Josh the Progressive. I post videos every single day on those platforms. This is not a hobby for me. This is my work. This is what I do. And with that in mind, if you want to support my channel directly while I'm trying to get YouTube monetized, you can do so via Buy Me a Coffee or Venmo. Those are both linked in my description. It helps keep the channel growing. It helps pay for equipment I need. I'm about to upgrade this entire show with fancier camera gear, fancier backdrop. But right now, I would be remiss not to bring you the breaking news coverage right now as it's happening. Yes, I saw that he's moving everything from Colorado to Alabama. Yeah, folks, he's about to come out any minute now. If the press does not ask him about his health, if the press does not ask him about the Epstein files, then there's your answer. We know that the press is completely compromised at this point because we have a president who slams the press as being fake news, as being radical leftists, and yet they don't even ask him the tough questions anymore. They never have, really, and they especially don't now. So we'll see what press they even allow into this meeting today. Of course, they're going to always have their right-wing extremists ask questions that try to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. They're going to try and show Trump as the hero. This is a big opportunity for Trump to try and quell a lot of people's concerns about his physical health. I am not relaxed about it. I personally believe the president is in a bad health situation. By the way, here's the other thing that is very concerning. Here's the other thing. Donald Trump, yes, was photographed by the White House press pool, but you still had right-wing media personalities, right-wing influencers, people on Fox News, Charlie Kirk, etc., posting pictures of Donald Trump saying, look, see, the president was out golfing with NFL legend John Gruden. Let me show you that. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. They're posting pictures saying that Donald Trump is fine, that he's out and about, he's out on the town. Take a look at this. I want you to see this. By the way, if you want to follow me on X, you can follow me at Josh4Progress. It's the only platform where I have a different username because I can't do Josh the Progressive since it's too long for X. Okay, look at this tweet right here. Charlie Kirk, who, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is by now, he is probably the biggest influencer in Trump's camp. And even though he's annoying and even though he is un-American, he still has a major impact on Trump supporters. So here's what he says. It's been pretty sick to watch certain members of the press so diddy, interesting word choice, at the prospect of President Trump being ill that they ran with fake rumors he was dying or already dead. These are bad people. Instead, he's playing golf with Super Bowl champion head coach John Gruden. And Trump posted this picture. Great playing golf with John Gruden, a really nice guy and true character. Okay? Okay, so wait, so Trump was golfing with John Gruden? But then, why is it that John Gruden was golfing with Trump? Wow, they really golfed a while ago. A week ago. This is from a week ago. Same golf course with Trump. He's wearing the exact same outfit. Same exact outfit, same course. So, yes, we saw the five, but they are doing everything in their power to post fake pictures, outdated pictures, old video of him golfing to show that he's fine, even though they're not showing us the current version of Trump. And they would only be trying to defend his health so much if they knew something was truly wrong. So that's the concern. That's the problem, right? And that's what should have people very concerned. So we'll see if he even brings up his own health as he's about to speak in less than 8 minutes. There's a good chance that he may not even bring it up at all. And if somebody asks him, he'll say, oh, I'm in better health than I've ever been. He loves to say that he's in the best health ever, which will not be accurate. We'll see if the media even presses him about his health. They might be afraid to do so. By the way, we have a record number of viewers here, so thank you so much for being here. Trump is expected to speak at the top of the hour, so we will jump right into that as soon as he starts speaking. I've got the feed pulled up already, and it's good to watch it on my channel because there will be no interruptions, and not to mention, when Trump does something wrong, we will actually push back on it. We will actually call it out for what it is, a lie. And we will not do what the mainstream media so often does, which is let Trump go uninterrupted and let Trump go have his way and create a false reality about the United States of America. We will not be ignorant on this channel. We will not succumb to MAGA. So thank you for being here. Make sure you like the video. Do everything you can to help amplify this episode, this live stream right before we go to Donald Trump. So everybody tunes in because I want to make sure everybody watches this today. I'm expecting a series of major announcements regarding Chicago, Venezuela, his health. Do I think he's going to resign today? Absolutely not. I think there is no chance he's going to resign today. I would be surprised if he ever voluntarily resigns. I think Donald Trump is going to do everything in his power to stay in power. But I do think there is a not so slim possibility that members of his cabinet, and especially guys like Stephen Miller and Peter Thiel, start to pressure him to resign. Similar to what we saw with Biden, but not quite the same. How, a lot of people on his team started convincing him, hey, maybe you should resign, let Kamala run. You're not polling very well because the debate and Trump is surging in the polls. But this is way different because obviously this is 1 year into his presidency and he's already flailing and he's already losing very badly. Hello, welcome from Alabama. I think you're my first viewer from Alabama. Looks like Trump is going to move the Space Command Center to Alabama, and he's going to announce that today. Oh, here's the big thing that he's going to announce as well. I would be shocked if he doesn't bring this up today. He wants to rename the Department of Defense, which is basically in charge of all the military. It's the Pentagon. It's Pete Hegseth's department. He wants to turn the Department of Defense into the Department of War. Now, why would anybody feel the need to make such a change if they weren't gearing us up for war? I really hoped that in my lifetime we would move beyond endless wars, that we would finally enter the 21st century and build a coalition of nations where people could create peace deals and no longer have these wars over things like oil and money. But Donald Trump knows very well that war would be a good thing for him politically because it would help keep him in power. Welcome from Germany. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for staying up to date on U.S. politics because, as we know, what happens in U.S. politics affects the rest of the world as well, especially because Donald Trump, like I said, is going to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And Germany, that's a great coincidence because what was the last time the Department of Defense was known as the Department of War? Oh yeah, World War II. It was called the Department of War until after World War II in 1947, the United States elected to change the Department of War to the Department of Defense. Welcome from Sweden, welcome from South Dakota, and hello from Australia. I had the privilege of visiting Australia last year. I went to Melbourne and Sydney, and it was amazing. Greetings from Southern California. Greetings, I'm here as well. Folks, Donald Trump is going to speak any minute now. I have him ready to go, and we will tune in and we will listen to every minute of it because we are informed. We are patriots. And we know that this is about the future of our country. This is about the survival of our Constitution. By the way, if you happen to be in California, make sure to vote yes on Prop 50, the special election taking place on November 4th, which is coming up in 2 months. That is Governor Gavin Newsom's initiative to redraw California's voting maps in a temporary and transparent fashion to counter what far-right extremists are doing in Texas, to counter what Donald Trump is doing to try and rig elections moving forward. And by the way, for anybody who is confused why Donald Trump continues to send National Guard to places like DC and now Chicago, it's not really about crime. Let's call it like it is. It is about showing the country that he is ready to deploy troops come election day. Let that sink in for a moment. He wants to intimidate voters during the midterms, and he wants to scare people who might have skin that's darker than you, might speak Spanish, people who are American citizens but might fear being profiled and targeted and harassed by ICE. He wants to scare them not to vote because he knows a lot of them will vote Democrat. Oh, here we go. Looks like we're going to get some Trump content. Right now, we are just getting some color bars, some color tone, because they are switching from outside to inside. So we should be hearing from the president shortly. He was expected to speak at the top of the hour. I think it would be a very bad look for him today to show up late, by the way, because people are already concerned about his health. His health is already failing him. But this is a really big deal for him. He really needs to show the country right now that he is fine, that he is okay, because even Trump supporters are spiraling. Even Trump supporters know something is up. And they are going to great lengths to try and trick us, to try and tell us what we see is not the reality. It's really awful. Thank you for coming from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Appreciate it. Haven't been there yet, but plan on going sometime soon. Thank you for coming from Texas. I am just so grateful that we have people from all over the country watching because we have an education problem in America. People are not paying attention. People think that this is a joke. They think this is a game. This is not a game. This is the most dangerous presidency we've ever had. Ever. Okay, let me see if we can get Trump going here. Let me see if he's coming live. I want to check. I like Associated Press because they just give very clean coverage. And this way, we will be able to watch together. Awesome. So they'll bring us to him as soon as he comes out, and I'll do the same. But looks like it could be any minute now. We've got some Secret Service on the roof right now. Very interesting. It's always interesting to see. There was interesting speculation over the weekend how contractors were working at the White House and they were throwing stuff out of the window of the White House, supplies. They were like throwing it down from the second floor down to the first floor. And people were saying that, you can't have people working in the White House if the president is there. And so clearly Trump was not at the White House for much of the weekend. And there's just a lot of concern about what is going on with him. He doesn't look the same. Something changed. And I don't think that's speculation. I think that's evident in the photography, in his face. And yes, he's getting older, but he looks dramatically worse. And so we'll see how he sounds today. We'll see what his energy is like. Maybe they give him the Biden special where they inject. You remember that one State of the Union that Biden was just so energetic? And it was actually a good speech because he was on fire that night. If only he took some of that during his debate with Trump, which, by the way, I know that Biden is a much better president than Donald Trump. But obviously, we all know the debate was a big factor in why Trump was able to win, because people were really concerned about Biden's speaking ability, even though Biden has had a stutter since he was a child. So any minute now, we'll hear from President Trump. He is usually a few minutes late, but it would be a mistake not to be ready to go, because we want to see from the jump what his tone is and what direction he's going to take this announcement today. Do I think he's going to announce his resignation? No, I don't, unfortunately. But I have been predicting for months now. I think I might have been one of the first people to start predicting that J.D. Vance will be president before 2028. That Trump is not going to finish his term. He's going to have trouble getting through the rest of his term because he's ill and he's aging and he's unpopular. So let's see if the president is going to come out any minute now. I just got a text from some insiders who are in the area. They say that, of course, he's slightly late. That's not a surprise with Trump. He thinks the American people are just always available for him. In reality, so many Trump supporters are not watching this. Only leftists and progressives are watching this because we're the ones concerned about the country. We're the ones affected by what Trump is doing. So are Trump supporters. They just think that when bad things happen to them, it's because of Joe Biden. It's because of Obama. It's because of Hillary Clinton. So when Trump announces today that he's going to potentially start war with Venezuela, or he's going to put troops in Chicago, somehow, some way, they're going to find a way to make this about the Democrats. So any minute now, we will see the president walk out. DJ Disco says, do you think J.D. Vance is ready for the presidency? Oh, he's ready, but he is a dangerous threat to our Constitution because J.D. Vance is worse than Donald Trump. And I know a lot of people might disagree with that. This is up for debate, and this is a debate that I think we should gladly have over the next few weeks and months. But what I think makes J.D. Vance so dangerous is J.D. Vance is younger than Trump. He's cleaner than Trump. He has the ability to package Trump's extremism and racism and far-right ideology into a way that is more presentable for the American people. He does a better job at convincing the American people that what is extreme, what is far-right, what is fascist is actually good for Americans. And I also think J.D. Vance is going to have less power in this regime, and he's going to have people telling him what to do. Now, one thing that I think will be better for the country, hopefully, is the cult of personality around Donald Trump will end when Trump ends. When Trump is gone, the cult will not survive. Of course, there will be people who still show his picture and still support him even long after he's dead. There will be people who worship him the same way some people still like O.J. Simpson. But the power of the cult will not be the same, and it will not carry over to J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance does not command this cult of personality the way Donald Trump has done for the past 10 years now. 10 years. So, folks, if you're just tuning in, we are waiting for the president to come out, but stay right here because he is going to come out any minute now. He's going to come out any minute to give major announcements to the American people. We have a clue as to what some of these announcements are going to be. I've had a few insiders tell me that we are going to hear about Chicago potentially and his potential invasion of Chicago. Let's call it like it is. It's an invasion. He's going to talk about Venezuela and how Marines are going to be stationed there. He might talk about changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War, which coincides with his invasion of Venezuela. And he's going to talk about moving Space Command from Colorado to Alabama. A lot of topics, none of which may be about his health. So we'll see if in the very first few minutes of this speech, which stay right here, don't go anywhere, because I want to know in the first few minutes, does he bring up his health? Does he talk about what's going on with his health or not? If he doesn't, the reporters better ask him about it. They better ask him today, because something is going on. And we cannot have a president unfit. He's already unfit, let's be real. But a president who goes golfing all weekend, who is not addressing the economic needs of Americans, he never was going to, but he is actively abandoning his duty now. We can't allow it. We can't allow it, and the media needs to step up today. They need to step up today. And if they won't, I will. So stay right here, because we don't want to miss the beginning. We want to see how this starts. We want to see what is going to be the central theme of his announcement today. Some people in the chat, like Melanie, suggest that he may avoid talking about his health. I concur. I think there's a chance that he doesn't bring it up at all, because maybe his team is telling him, if you bring it up, you're going to make it a bigger deal than it is. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. He's basically, he's like DJ Disco says in the chat, he's going to talk about all of his talking points and nothing about Epstein. Oh, I don't think for a second he's going to talk about Epstein today. That would be the last thing he would want to talk about right now. And unfortunately, they have gotten their wish. They wanted to get us to stop talking about Epstein, and he's doing everything to distract from Epstein. All of this extremist policy, invading U.S. cities, increasing a surge of kidnappings from ICE to over 3,000 migrants a day, which is what their goal is all to get us to stop talking about the real crisis in this country, which is the economy, people losing health care. There's a genocide happening that is being funded by taxpayer dollars, and the Epstein files, how the President of the United States may literally be complicit in that crime. Sounds like I'm hearing thunder here in Los Angeles. Folks, Donald Trump is a few minutes late, but usually he comes out a few minutes late, so we're going to keep it here. I want to keep the feed on because right when it's ready, I don't want to miss anything. So thank you for being here. Please like the video, by the way. Subscribe for free so you never miss a video. Share this video with one friend right now. So if you have a friend that is wondering where they can watch and where they can get accurate information about what they're watching, so we don't tune into Fox News, so we don't tune into News Nation, Newsmax, etc. I'd rather you support independent media and stay away from these conservative, corrupt news networks that are not holding the president accountable. And here, we will actually push back on the lies. We will actually expose the truth and go after the corruption that we're seeing in the administration. Let's see. Joey says, I'm from Alabama. I agree with you. Space Center should stay in Colorado and not move here. There's so many more important things to deal with right now. Absolutely. Absolutely. All week, people have been hearing about his health. People have been wanting answers about the Epstein files. People have been wanting economic relief. Where's Trump's healthcare plan? Where's his plan to address how unaffordable housing is in this country? And his solution for that is, let's move the Space Command to Alabama. Great, good job, good job. But what are we going to do about the Epstein files? What are we going to do about the 2 wars overseas that we haven't solved? So this is just another example of Trump's playbook where he celebrates small wins. He does little symbolic gestures like move the Space Command and create the Space Force, because he doesn't have solutions for the real issues that Americans are worried about. Speaking of economy, we here in Southern California don't pay $8 for gas. I got gas yesterday. Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Gas is more expensive in California than other states because we have higher taxes, because we have sustainable initiatives that are trying to get us away from gas, by the way. Because let's be real, gas is a fossil fuel. And in the next decade, we're going to see less gas cars and more electric cars. And some people might be afraid of that. But you just have to think that at many moments in history, we're always resistant to get rid of things that we're comfortable with until something better comes along. And who knows if EVs will be the best thing for us, but at least it's going to be an improvement. At least you will not have to go to the gas station and spend $60, $70, $80 on gasoline when you can charge your car for much cheaper. And you're not polluting the atmosphere by driving an electric vehicle. At least it's much more mitigated. So the question isn't what he's going to say. The question is, how sick does he look and sound, and will he make it to the end of the year? Great point, Thomas. Great point. Many people in the chat and myself have agreed when he comes out any minute now, he should be coming out any minute, so don't go away. He may not talk about his health. He may not even address it at all. But what we need to pay attention to is, what is his vibe? How does he look? How does he sound? Right? You hear me right now. I am in full health. I am as good as I've ever been. Donald Trump said the other day to reporters that he's better than he's ever been. That is not correct. That is not true. How can you say that? How can you say that when it has been reported by your own administration that you have a chronic vein insufficiency, a condition that is potentially going to lead to strokes, that is potentially going to lead to heart attacks, that is causing swelling in your body because blood is getting stuck, it's pooling in your legs. And I know that's a little graphic to think about, but it is the reality. It's a very scary reality that the President of the United States may be slowly dying in real time, and they're trying to pretend like it's not happening. And I want to give everybody, while we wait for the president here, he could be out any minute now, I want to give you a talking point to use, because you're going to hear Trump supporters say, well, this is just like how Joe Biden wasn't healthy and the mainstream media covered it up and the Democrats covered it up. Completely wrong, completely incorrect. This is a drastically different situation, because MAGA's version of Joe Biden being unhealthy was the fact that Joe Biden had a stutter. He has a speaking issue that he's had since he was a teenager. He's always had a stutter since he was a young senator. And yes, was getting older and maybe was not as sharp as he used to be. But he wasn't literally suffering from a venous illness. He wasn't literally having trouble circulating blood through his body. Now, we did learn that in the last year and a half of his presidency, he had a cancer diagnosis, but he wasn't, at that point, he wasn't running for re-election anyway. He had made the decision to drop out. And by the way, it was in the final year of his presidency. And Donald Trump is in the first year of this term. So yeah, it's a big difference. It's a big fucking difference, because if we're already talking about this 1 year into this, imagine, folks, imagine if Donald Trump carries this presidency into 2026, into 2027. If his health is bad now, what are we going to be talking about in 2027 when he is 3 years older than what he is now? When he is 3 years older and still getting more extreme, more angry, more deranged. He is already putting the National Guard in U.S. cities, and we're only 7-8 months into this presidency. This is insanity. This is insanity. And a lot of people voted for him because they thought he was an outsider and they thought he was going to be the no new wars president. Folks, if you're just tuning in, Trump is going to speak any minute now, so stay right here. But related to what I'm talking about, one thing that he's going to address is how he wants to start a war with Venezuela. He's not going to call it a war. The no new wars president could never call it a war. But he's going to put military operation into full swing in Venezuela, because he claims he's going after the cartels. He claims he's going after the president of Venezuela, who the Trump regime deems ineligible to be president, because in the United States, we determine who gets to lead other countries. I agree, Melanie. He's disrespectful to make everyone wait. But stay here, because we've waited this long. We have to see this. We have to see this, and we should watch this live, because we need to see this now before other people see it. Because as soon as this is over, MAGA and far-right extremists and real traitors to our country are going to spin this, and they're going to pretend like what Trump said and did and is doing is good. It's not. It's not okay. It's not okay. This is not okay, what is going on right now. It's not okay that we have a president that disappears for a week and is not doing his job and is not working for the American people, and then to just come back in a week and not address his health at all. That's not okay. It's not okay. And here's a point that not enough people are talking about. Take this with you after this live stream. You see Trump supporters celebrating how Trump was seen golfing. They're like, look, Trump was golfing over the weekend. He's in great health. He should be working. He should be working. He's golfing all the time. He's golfing every day. He's not actually addressing the problems in this country. He grifted and tricked you into thinking that he was going to be the working class president, into thinking that he was going to be the peacemaker, the master deal maker. This was all bullshit from the beginning. And hopefully more and more people are starting to realize it. And the reason why I want to bring this to you live is because some Trump supporters will tune into this. And it's okay if they do, because we still have the chance to swing the pendulum back in our direction. Some people are not too far gone. Yes, there are some Trump supporters that would rather have Trump as a dictator than to ever vote for a Democrat again. Seriously. And we have the president of the United States literally talking about being a dictator. He's saying he wants to be a dictator. That was the last time he spoke. That was 1 week ago. 1 week ago, he was having a cabinet meeting and he said, a lot of people are saying maybe we'd like a dictator. I'm not a dictator, but maybe we'd like one. Isn't that insane to think that that was the last time we heard him speak? And he's to come out any minute now. So we'll see what announcement he's going to bring us, because this could be a big day. And I think this could really shape what the presidency looks like for him moving forward. I really hope the first reporter asks him about his health. And I really hope they don't just say, Mr. President, you look great. How are you feeling? Because if that happens, that reporter is complicit and compromised in what's really going on. They're compromised. Folks, I am not compromised. I am an independent political commentator. My name is Josh Greene, by the way, in case you're new here. Welcome to the Progressive Pulse. We're bringing you live coverage of Donald Trump at the White House, set to speak any minute now. Literally any minute now. He's going to make major announcements regarding Chicago, Venezuela, perhaps renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War, perhaps talking about what he plans on doing with the Space Command. And so all of that is coming up any minute now when he comes to speak. But if you're just tuning in, please like the video, subscribe, share this link with one person so people have it. Follow me across my other socials. If you're watching on your phone or computer, you can click on the description of this video and you can see my other socials. But don't go anywhere right now because I don't want you to miss this. We have a job to do. Our job, in order to fight back, we have to know what we're fighting against. We have to know what they're saying, what they're planning. So we're ready. We're prepared to strike back. Somebody's saying he should be out in 10 minutes. Okay. Well, let's hope it's sooner than that. Let's hope it's sooner than that. But I'm glad that we started early because I wanted to make sure everybody knew the context of what he's going to talk about today. Because some people do believe that he's potentially going to talk about resigning. I don't think that's happening. Nobody should think that's happening. I think that would be a major shock. That would be a surprise. But I think that is still part of the excitement of watching today is what is going on with him? What is up with his health? Thank you for being with me, Joey. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being here, Rick. I love that everybody's here tuned in because this is our job. We are American patriots, right? And in 2025, in the digital age, our job is to stay informed. We will hear from the president any minute. The other big thing he'll probably talk about is how dangerous Chicago is, how immediately action must be taken to clean up Chicago, and we'll see if he hints at other cities as well. Remember, he has talked about invading other U.S. cities. He's talking about invading Oakland, San Francisco, Philadelphia, right? It's not going to be just Chicago. Detroit. I know we had a viewer from Detroit earlier. These are cities that we live in. These are cities that we work in. And we know that our cities have problems, but we know that Donald Trump is not the solution. And we know that his solutions actually undermine public safety. Ask yourself this question before Trump comes out to speak in a few minutes. Why is it that you would be planning such a massive operation in Chicago to put U.S. troops on the streets of one of America's biggest cities, one of America's densest, is that a word? That should be a word. Most dense and urban areas where tourists are flocking the streets because it is peak tourist season in Chicago. It's the middle of summer. Why would you be doing such a big operation and not even coordinate with Chicago police? You're not even working with the Chicago Police Department. You claim to back the blue. You say blue lives matter, even though we saw the way you led to cops losing their lives on January 6th. We saw it happen on TV. But how are you going to do that and not have any coordination with Chicago PD? So we're getting word that Trump could be speaking within the next 5 minutes. It could be any minute. It really could be any minute, but I'm getting word that it could be within 5 minutes. So stay tuned, stay here. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I'll try to address everybody's questions, concerns. Looks like we have a record number of viewers here today, and I want to keep increasing that. So share this. If you have a relative, grandparent, child, grandchild, cousin, send this to them. Say, hey, check out Josh the Progressive, Josh Greene. He's a left-wing political commentator. He's bringing you Trump live today. He's going to go live any minute now. But Josh also, I'm talking about myself in the third person because I'm giving you the script. Josh breaks it all down, and shares the truth about what's happening. Somebody says, my brother-in-law just retired from Chicago Fire Department. Yes, I've been out there. Chicago is no different than any other city. I was just in Chicago a few weeks ago. It's amazing. It's amazing. And there are neighborhoods in Chicago that have more crime. There are neighborhoods in Chicago that have less crime. Red states have crime. Red cities have crime. I was in Texas earlier this year. Texas, there are people living on the street. There is crime. I was walking around a neighborhood in Dallas. People said, oh, this is a slightly dangerous neighborhood. There's gun violence here. People shoot people here. Hey, this is not just about Chicago. Donald Trump is simply targeting Democratic strongholds. Don't think for a second that when the midterms come, he's not going to try and scare people. He's not going to try and intimidate people. So he will be live any minute now. I'm wondering if maybe his health is so concerning that they're backstage right now, either giving him medicine and drugs, or maybe giving him some script saying, hey, you cannot talk about your health. You cannot talk about Epstein. You should not talk about Gaza because you have no plan. You should not talk about Ukraine and Russia because reporters will start asking you about that, and they will realize that you are not in a position to solve that crisis either. So we'll see. We'll see what people ask him about afterwards. Someone says he probably can't talk. I know. Well, we need to hear from him. We need to hear from him now. And he's making the American people wait. But we're ready. We are ready to go. Some people are speculating that this is going to be pre-recorded. This is not pre-recorded. He is alive. This is live. There's no Trump clone. This is not his clone. That would be crazy if it was his clone. I do think in our lifetime, it is insane to say that, in my lifetime at least, that we may see clones. AI is becoming so powerful already. But we will see what he says when he comes to speak any minute now. He was supposed to come out at 2 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, he's late. Usually that's to be expected. Somebody says being nearly half an hour late is worrisome. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the chance that he could cancel. What if they decide, you know what, you're not in the best condition right now. We're going to have Caroline go out there and talk and say that you had an important call come up. Maybe they'll say Trump had to take a meeting with a foreign leader. And if that happens, then Caroline Levitt will come out and she'll just read off a script. And she'll talk about how the Trump played golf all weekend and that he's perfectly fine and that everything is amazing. Let's hope that's not the case because we need answers from this president. By the way, I use quotes because he is a criminal and a rapist masquerading as our president. He literally raped women. It's part of his identity. It's part of his history. It's fact. And the fact that people still vote for this goes to show either they don't care about women in America, which is so sad, or they will vote for him no matter what. So I apologize, if that was a little graphic, but these are the facts. These are the facts. And other news networks have paid Trump millions of dollars for saying that he did what he did. I'm not doing that. If Trump sues me, so be it. So be it. More power to me, honestly. It would probably give my channel a big boost. Because I'm not going to shy away from the truth here. That's why you come to me. That's why we have a community here. Because other channels, other networks, they're not going to give you the truth. We have a crisis in America. This is a fascist takeover of our country. And today could be another example of that. It seems like every time Trump speaks, and again, he is set to come out any minute now. I know I keep saying that, but I want to reiterate that it could literally be at any moment. We're moments away, as they say. Every single time he speaks, it seems like their extremism grows, their fascism grows. Last week, we went from him saying that he's doing what he's doing in D.C. and that everything's good, he has to also invade Chicago, to maybe America wants a dictator. Not enough people are talking about Trump putting us at war with Venezuela. And yes, I know for some people that might not seem like a big deal. It doesn't seem like we're going to war. But that's over 4,000 American service members, people's children, relatives that are going to be in harm's way. Not to mention, they're going to inflict casualties on another population in Venezuela because Trump wants to do it. Because Trump needs something. And because he wants to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. He's going to talk about that today, any minute now when he comes out to speak. That might be one of the first things he brings up, is the name change. A lot of people have been suggesting that that's what he's going to talk about. I am in that camp as well. I think that could be a major talking point for him today. So we shall see. We shall see what he says today. Any minute now, he should come out. If for some reason somebody gets word that he begins speaking on another network and I'm not seeing him here, let me know. But we're tuned into a live feed. So this should be even more live than what other people are seeing. This is real time right now. The reason why they haven't brought the camera inside is because he's not even out yet. And so they're going to cut inside as soon as he walks out. That's usually how this goes. So stay right here. We're going to listen to the president. Again, quotes. We're going to listen to what he has to announce. This is his first public speaking event in a week. He hasn't even addressed the media when walking by. It's almost like his team is instructing him not to talk, which makes today's event an even bigger deal than it is, because we need to see how he sounds. We need to see what he sounds like when he talks. What does his face look like? What do his eyes look like? Can we see his hands? Will his hands have noticeable swelling and bruising like they have? Will they see what we see with his health? Somebody says most dictators practice tardiness to exercise their manipulative authority. Very true. Very true. That is real dictator stuff right there. Folks, Trump is going to come out any minute now. Somebody mentioned that he was going to come out at 2:30 Eastern. Now that has passed. So obviously he's incredibly late. This is raising concern for me. This is making me wonder if something's going on in the green room right now. If maybe they're trying to give him extra makeup. Maybe they're trying to fix his hands. Maybe they're worried about his voice. Maybe they are going to have Caroline come out first. That would be a very disappointing moment if Caroline walks out first, because then we'll know that something changed backstage and that they're making him go out first. They're not hands, they're hooves. Yeah, I like that. You're not wrong about that. I'm going to make sure that more people have this link. So I'm sending this around right now. Help me out. Please do the same. If you can send this link to one person, I want to make sure that people are engaged, and that as soon as the president comes out, they have an ability to watch, and they have someone like myself who is not going to let Trump's fake news go unchecked. We're going to push back today. Today is going to require a lot of pushback from us, from the real American patriots. We are the ones that need to hold this administration accountable, because we know that the mainstream media has declined in their ability to do that. And it's sad, because there are a lot of really good journalists out there at every major network. Well, not Fox News, but at most networks, there are good individual journalists. But the problem is the networks themselves are now paying Trump millions of dollars in settlements. They're now avoiding court with Trump because they'd rather pay him off. They're caving to this regime. So any minute now, we'll hear from the president. Really should be any second now. I hope he comes out, because every minute that goes by, more people are probably growing worried about him and his health. And by the way, let's be real. I'm not worried about him. I have no affection for this president. I don't wish him well. I don't wish him unwell. That might be the safe thing to say. But I don't care about him. He is not my friend, and I don't worship the president. I don't care if he was a Democrat, by the way. These people, their job is to serve us. They are elected officials. Obviously, Trump is not even the president. He is a dictator. He's not a wannabe dictator. He is operating as a dictator. Fortunately, we still have some semblance of checks and balances. We saw today Trump suffered a major loss. I'm going to make a video about this later. So make sure you're following on TikTok and Instagram and subscribed on YouTube as well. Trump suffered a major loss in California. This is breaking news as of this morning, as it was ruled that the National Guard, they're not allowed to be law enforcement, and they're not allowed to arrest people. They're not allowed to detain people. And that was something that Trump was trying to do in California. And that's definitely something he's trying to do in DC as well. And if it was ruled that way in California, it should be ruled that way in other states too. And so that was a huge setback for Trump. The problem is, even though, like I just said, we have some semblance of checks and balances, Trump has been ignoring the Supreme Court. He's been ignoring the law of the land. And that's how you know that he is not a wannabe dictator. He is operating as a dictator. Melanie, he has not come on yet. And I guess if you can't hear, can somebody tell Melanie in the chat for me, please, that he is not speaking yet, because she is only tuning in once he starts to speak, which could be any minute. It could be any minute. Don't go away. If we go away now, he could jump on and start saying some crazy shit. Right now, I'm sharing this link with a few more people, so people have it. Thank you to the hundreds of you watching today. This is by far our biggest live stream yet. The reason why I want to go live is because I want to bring you coverage in real time, so that we're not talking about it after the fact. We're talking about it as it's happening. And I want you to stay locked in, stay tuned in on these live streams, so that when we see Fox News and JD Vance and Stephen Miller afterwards all say what the president is doing is good, we watched it with our own eyes and we know it's bad. And by the way, just selfishly, I should let you know that I need to grow beyond TikTok and Instagram, and YouTube is going to be one of my main platforms, because it allows me to go live for hours and bring you this real-time coverage, where we can watch Trump, we can watch Gavin Newsom, we can actually pay attention to the fight in real time. We can communicate in a chat, and we can dive deeper into topics. So I know nowadays people's attention spans are getting shorter because social media and scrolling and etc., especially among my generation. But these topics are way too important to just spend 2 minutes on it or 5 minutes on it. We need to watch and get the full context and understand what's happening. And I know people are busy. Some people, don't have the time for all of that. That's where I come in. That's where I can help break it down, and I can help give you what you need so that you know to be prepared. If Trump is coming to your city with ICE, if Trump is starting a war in your country, because I know people are watching in other countries. I wonder if we would ever get viewers from Venezuela. I want to know what they think about the fact that Trump, any minute now at the White House, might announce an invasion of Venezuela. I am on Blue Sky, by the way. Josh the Progressive on Blue Sky. You can follow me there. I'm mostly on Threads. That's been my most successful text-based platform. That's Instagram and Facebook. Meta's version of Twitter, basically, is Threads. But I'm on Blue Sky. I'm also on X. I know people don't like X because of Elon Musk. I agree. But I am on there because it's important to bring the fight right to far-right extremists, right to MAGA, who are on X. And so that allows me to push back there. And I don't have many followers on X yet. So if you still have Twitter, X, follow me there. I appreciate it, as we wait for the president to speak any minute now. I'm going to take a brief drink of water. Everybody, stay hydrated, by the way. Stay hydrated. I am Gen Z, Ashley. I'm a Gen Z political commentator. I'm 25 years of age. So a lot of what Trump does and says affects my generation directly because things might not be horrible right now for some people, but the damage Trump does will outlive Trump. The Supreme Court that is stacked with far-right Trump judges will remain beyond Trump's time. The ramifications of Roe v. Wade will affect women's rights for years to come. The ramifications on our economy, how Trump is making housing unaffordable for people like myself, how Trump reversed progress from the Biden administration to try and reduce student loans for people like myself who are paying for our education. Somebody says, how long is Trump's announcement supposed to be? Great question. Let's talk about that. He usually can go on and on. Sometimes, we've seen him talk for half an hour, but that is going to be a major factor today is if he's not well, if he's ill, does he go a little bit shorter today? Does his energy seem lower today? I personally predict that this could be a short one, that he might not be able to go for very long if he is really ill. So we'll see. We'll see how he's feeling today. That's cool. I'm your daughter's age. Oh, you're also Gen Z, first year Gen X. Enjoy your progressive views. Thank you. Yeah, my parents from Generation X. Some say that's the best generation, although maybe I'm just trying to be nice to my parents. But, you guys grew up with some of the best music. So any minute now, we'll hear from the president. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for subscribing to my channel for free. I mentioned it's free because some people are unsure about that. It's free. You're not paying money to subscribe. The purpose of subscribing is it helps grow my channel and it helps make sure that when you go on YouTube, my videos will show up for you in a clear way so you can click on them and you can watch them. I post YouTube videos throughout the week. I want to try to go live almost every day. I'm going live tomorrow, by the way, probably around the same time. So if you have your phone on you right now, if you have your calendar, etc., maybe set an alarm. You can also turn on post notifications on my channel. So there's a little bell icon and it will either give you a phone notification or an email so that you don't miss a video, because tomorrow, 2 Congress members, big ones, by the way, Ro Khanna, who's one of the best leftists in Congress, and Thomas Massie, who is a Republican, but he is a little bit more on the moderate side. They're holding a press conference with Epstein victims. A lot of people don't know about that yet. They're going to hold a press conference tomorrow discussing the Epstein victims. And that is a huge deal because that's Democrats and Republicans directly coming together to call out the Trump administration. And they're going to have the victims speaking. So MAGA cares about the victims, or at least they claim to. Well, they better be tuned into that. And the victims want accountability. The victims want justice. What time tomorrow? Let me find out exactly when their press conference is taking place right now. Stay right here. I have it. I got an email directly from Ro Khanna's team because I have interviewed Ro Khanna. He is one of the better ones we have. I don't support Thomas Massie, by the way. Thomas Massie is still very right-wing. His views on climate change do not align with those of the future. He is still very conservative in many regards, but at least he has had the balls to call out the Trump administration. And yes, the president is very late today, but we've waited this long, and the longer we've waited, fortunately, more people have tuned in. I think that's his goal, is he wants people to trickle in, but this is later than usual. We should take note of that. This is much later than he usually comes out, and so I am wondering if there's some kind of delay happening backstage. Leave a message in the chat. Let me know if there's a delay. Stay right here. I'm going to let you know exactly what time I'm going live tomorrow to talk about Ro Khanna. So it's going to be at 10:30 Eastern time tomorrow. So that means that I will be bringing it to you live at 10:30 Eastern time. So that'll be 7:30 a.m. local time. We'll be up nice and early if you're on the West Coast. Somebody says, hurry up, Trump, I have to get to work. I know. There must be some kind of delay. This is very concerning. It makes me wonder if the president is okay. By the way, let me know in the chat, do you prefer if Trump says something outrageous? Do you prefer if I pause it and we can quickly debunk it? Like I'm talking 10 seconds, like, I tell you what he's lying about, or should we try to watch as much uninterrupted as possible? Because I do think it's important. We'll want to pause at some points because we'll want to make sure that we're actively calling out his rhetoric and his lies. And we want to make sure that people are informed about the truth. But also, he is very late. We want to make sure we can get through this. So if he comes out any minute, last chance to share this link with people. Of course, you can share it while we're watching it too. But if people want to be here right at the beginning, this would be a good opportunity to do so. There is a good chance that the president is having some type of delay backstage, which is very concerning. He's not usually this late. Yes, I appreciate everybody for the input, letting me know that you like it when we debunk and expose the corruption of this administration. By the way, some people see me get very angry when I bring you these live shows. I am angry. And people say, oh, you're triggered. You're a snowflake. I am triggered because I actually care about the human rights violations that this administration is committing on a daily. I actually care about the people who have to work paycheck to paycheck because they're experiencing no economic relief from this administration. So, yeah, I am triggered. And I think a real American patriot is triggered by this. And if you're not triggered, that means you don't care about your fellow Americans who are suffering right now. You do not have them in your thoughts. Looks like there's well over 200 people watching this, which is fantastic because President Trump is expected to speak any minute now. Any minute now. He was supposed to speak almost an hour ago. Think about that. Somebody was just saying it's been 45 minutes. We're coming up now at, oh, here we go. Here we go. All right, let's see. Let's tune in now.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very important day and an important announcement with great friends of mine. I think I can say this group is every one of them. I rate a 10. I can't always say that, even if they're Republicans, and these are Republicans, great Republicans. I want to thank you all for being here.
Okay, first off, he doesn't sound great.
This important announcement, 7 years in the making. As you know, this has been going on for a long period of time, and I am thrilled to report that the U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City. Okay, so Huntsville, Alabama, we love Alabama. I only won it by about 47 points. I don't think that influenced my decision, though, right? That didn't, right? But we had a lot of competition for this, and Alabama's getting it, Huntsville in particular, so congratulations, everybody. Katie, congratulations. This will result in more than 30,000 Alabama jobs and probably much more than that, and hundreds of millions of dollars of investment, and that's billions because it can't be millions, it's billions and billions of dollars. Most importantly, this decision will help America defend and dominate the high frontier, as they call it. I want to thank Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's doing a fantastic job.
There are so many more important things that we need to be hearing about. They strategically are making this random announcement about moving Space Command at a time where there are major concerns about this president's health and the Epstein files. We knew this would happen. Let's see if he actually addresses real concerns today.
And Secretary of the Air Force, Troy Mink. Troy, thank you very much. Great job you're doing, Troy. This is such a big deal. This is one that everybody wanted to know. What are you doing? I also want to thank Senators Katie Britt, and I want to...
Let me know in the chat, by the way, if you think he sounds well.
Your grandmother just passed away. She was
He sounds different to me. And also, look at his hair, by the way. His hair looks very bizarre.
Very proud of you, so thank you, Katie.
He does not sound well. His voice sounds very hoarse. Let me let you listen.
I can tell you she had to be. Tommy Tuberville, who's a great coach, and I won't say anything about what happened with Alabama football this weekend.
Let's leave that out.
But you're not used to that, right? You're not used to that. But Tommy, Auburn won, is right. They did. So you're happy. Tommy's been a great senator, as you know, and fantastic guy all around.
He
was
does
also
not
a tremendous
sound
coach.
okay.
House Armed Services Committee Chair Mike Rogers. Thank you, Mike. Where's Mike?
Is this his clone?
Mike, thank you very much. Doing great, Mike. Representatives Barry Moore, all great friends, Robert Adderholt, Gary Palmer, and Dale Strong. Thank you all very much, fellas. Appreciate it.
I wish
my
they would show
first
his hands
term,
more.
I created a thing called Space Force. So important. You know, we were losing the race in space very badly to China and to Russia. And now we're far and away #1 in space, and reestablished Space Com with a mission to protect American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the Spacecom headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration. And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be. I will say I want to thank.
By the way, Trump should be talking about putting the National Guard in Alabama, where homicide is actually higher than other states. Instead, he's putting the National Guard in Democratic states, and he's moving the Space Command to Alabama. We should be addressing the crime in Alabama. And this is no disrespect to Alabama residents. I know you get a lot of flack for being in Alabama. Alabama is one of our 50 states, and it needs to be treated like such. And Donald Trump claims to care about crime? Then why are you moving the Space Command to Alabama and not addressing the crime there, if you care about crime?
Colorado, the problem I have with Colorado, one of the big problems, they do mail-in voting. They went to all mail-in voting. So they have automatically crooked elections. And we can't have that. When a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections, because that's what that means. So that played a big factor also. In Huntsville, Space Com will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile Defense Shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. The finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and we're going to work something out with them, I hope. It will also ensure that our technological capabilities, of which we're way ahead of anybody else, there's nobody close, remain unmatched long into the future. So I'd like to
I hope somebody
Secretary
immediately
Hegseth
asks him about his
to
health.
say a few words. He was very much a part of it. And really, everybody behind me was. Every one of these people would call me and lobby me. I said, Katie, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I know.
Sounds like he's
I know
already
what you
passing it
want."
off to somebody else.
She said, that's right, sir. That's what I want. And they got their way. So I just want to congratulate. These are really special people. They're politicians in many ways, but they're great patriots, I think even more so than politicians. So they fought very hard to get it, and it's an honor to give it to Huntsville. Pete, say a few words, please.
He's like, please, I can't speak anymore. My
Thank you, Mr. President.
body's falling apart.
As usual,
Oh, let's see his
right
hands.
place, right time for the right
One hand's
reason.
kind of covered by the
In
podium.
your first administration, you established the Space Force at a time when we knew we had to be looking to that domain of space. You also reestablished Spacecom to ensure that priority was put in place, and you, through the Air Force,
He ironically sounds
independently
kinda sick,
identified
too.
that Huntsville, Alabama was right.
Maybe
place
there's
to
something
put it.
going around.
For other reasons, in the next administration under Biden, they decided to move it somewhere else. Well, during that time, the DoD Inspector General, the Government Affairs Office, they did their own assessments, and where did they say Spacecom should go? Huntsville, Alabama. So what you're doing today, Mr. President, is restoring it to precisely where it should be based on what the Space Force, the Air Force, your leadership believes will give us strategic advantage in the future. That is Huntsville, Alabama. We are way ahead in space.
He
but
looks
this will
way
ensure
more
we stay
tired
leaps
than
and bounds
usual.
ahead,
Look
because
at him.
that's the most important domain. Whoever controls the skies will control the future of warfare. And Mr. President, today you're ensuring that happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Katie, would you like to say something?
He does not want to talk. He wants
Mr.
everybody else to
President,
speak.
we are grateful for your leadership on this and restoring Space Command to its rightful home in Huntsville, Alabama. This delegation has worked together, both chambers, both parties, to make sure that Huntsville was the place that Space Command called home. As was mentioned, obviously the Biden administration chose to make this political. What we want to do is put the safety and security of Americans first. We want to make sure that our warfighter is put first. And we want to make sure that America continues to lead. And today, Mr. President, you've allowed that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The No New Wars president loves talking about warfare.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a great day for our country, not just for our state of Alabama. We need help in our military. We need to catch up. And as Secretary Hessick said, we're not behind in space, but we know where we're at, and we need to expound on that. Now, this move will save the taxpayers $480 million. It's not going to cost more. It's going to cut $480 million.
Okay, so now they're trying to justify
It'll be behind a
more
secure
war
wall
spending
in
by
Huntsville,
tricking us
Alabama,
into thinking
Redstone
we're
Arsenal.
saving money.
We have 40,000 people there. We have the FBI there. We have missile defense there. We have NASA, Blue Origin, and SpaceX. It is the perfect place for Space Command. I would tell you today, and I've spoke with the president for the last 3 or 4 years about this. If I thought it needed to go somewhere else because I understand the security of our country, I'd be for that. But the best place for Space Command is Huntsville, Alabama, because what we have and what it means to this country is going to be so important. So thank you, Mr. President, for this, and we look forward to building a huge Space Command and having the Donald
This
J.
is what
Trump
they were an
Space Command
hour
Center
late
in
for.
Huntsville, Alabama.
Can we get into something substantial?
Sure. Well, Mr. President, thank you. I'll be very brief here. I lobbied the president hard to put it in Ohio, but he said these people behind us, these Alabamans, are just too powerful and too persuasive. And so it's in Alabama, but as Tommy said, this is exactly the right place for
You can tell J.D. Vance is trying to be more charismatic. He's gearing up for his chance because he knows Trump's clock is ticking.
Space Force and Space Command. I think Americans ought to appreciate the fact that you can't win the battle of the future unless you control the skies. The cyber security, the communications, the entire infrastructure of the battle in the 21st century will be in space. So it was a visionary move in the first administration for the president to set up Space Force, and I think an equally visionary move to make sure the Space Force is right where it should be in Huntsville, Alabama. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, anybody want to say anything? Would you like to say?
He sounds so
President,
poor. Listen to his
another
voice.
promise made, another
And he's
promise
making everybody
kept.
speak except for
You
him.
think about it, Redstone Arsenal is critical to national security. The president said when you were the 45th president, let's do what's right for national security. And today, that's exactly what we're doing. It's not because of this or that. It's because it's right for national security. You think of the 21 categories that were evaluated to determine what was best for national security. All indicators pointed back to Huntsville, Alabama, and Redstone Arsenal. We have the right people at the right place at the right time. Mr. President, on behalf of the people of the 5th Congressional District and all of Alabama, thank you for keeping your word. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Anybody?
He's like, can anybody speak except for
I
me?
want to say thank you. And thank you for doing this because it was the right thing to do. When they looked at all the numbers, Huntsville was the place to go. And like you say, it was unfortunately pulled out. But
This is the way I turn down, by the way, when something irrelevant is happening. Like, we don't really care what this guy has to say. This is what they do. This administration always finds a way to come up with some new distraction to get us to stop talking about the bigger issues at hand. Why today do they feel the need to announce the Space Command move from Colorado to Alabama? Obviously, they got to announce it at some point. But why now? Why today? Amid all this speculation about his health, amid all this concern about his health, and the Epstein files, and these wars overseas that he's not solving. And now he's barely speaking after being an hour late. I'm sure he'll speak, though, and I want to hear the most important thing to stay tuned will be what reporters ask him.
Mr. President, thank you for making priorities the defense and the warfighter and the safety of this nation. And in the big, beautiful bill, that Golden Dome will be built in Huntsville, Alabama, and we're grateful for that. Thank you.
It's like anybody but me. Please speak.
Listen, as chairman of the Armed Services Committee, I care very much about what's most important for our national security. And the president held a nationwide competition to determine where we should have this command. If y'all will remember, at the end of that competition, where Alabama came in first, there was a lot of complaints from the other states who did not place well. He said, we'll do it over with new criteria to accommodate your concerns. Alabama came in first in that second competition. His Secretary of the Air Force reviewed the results, said it was fair, and the president named Huntsville. It was the Biden administration that decided to make it political, even though his own Secretary of the Air Force said it was a fair competition and it should be in Huntsville. So I want you to know I appreciate this president standing up and being strong and saying he's going to make this right and put it where.
Why are we still talking about the Biden administration? We should be talking about the failures of this current administration. Of course, they'll never do that.
It rightfully belongs.
Let's see if the
That's up for
reporters
Alabama.
help us with that, though. All right, here we go. Let's see what Trump has to
So
say.
thank you all very much. You are going to leave me alone now. You're not going to call me anymore and talk about this subject, right? You promise? They'll start something else. But I just want to congratulate you. It's a very big deal. When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago, and our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so...
He sounds off. He sounds very off. Something in his voice does not sound the same. I'm not saying he's a clone. I'm not saying he's a robot, a clanker, but he doesn't sound healthy. Something seems off, and he just had everybody else speak instead of him. So let's see if he improves his energy levels.
incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing, and you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that.
He sounds awful. He sounds like a man who is ill, like a man who is sick and struggling to do this right now. And I'm not even trying to be biased. I'm not even trying to blame this on him. But objectively speaking, we can all agree he doesn't sound great. What is going on?
After this meeting is over. Do you have any questions, please? Yeah, please.
Here we go.
Senator Cumberville talked about the cost savings
Yeah.
associated with this announcement. Can you talk about the strategic benefits by having Space Force Command headquartered in Huntsville?
Well, it just works because we have so much else there. And having a central, you could call it a central command, but it really is a command station. Also, even locationally, where it is, and when you think about flying distances, if you can save a half an hour as fast as some of these planes go and things go, and even the rockets go, if you can save by having the best location. So we went out, as you know, to experts, and we had 4 different groups come up of experts. They all said this was the best location. I also loved it from the standpoint, I know the people of Alabama, they are great people, work hard, and there's no games, and they're very proud of it. And I would say they fought harder for it than anybody else also. A lot of states, 5 states really wanted it, but they wanted it more. And I kid you not when I say that these people, they spoke to me a lot.
The first question
That's
was
all they
about
wanted to talk about. They didn't want to talk
Alabama,
about the
not
weather.
about his health.
They only wanted to talk about moving to this location, moving to Alabama, Huntsville in particular. So we're honored to do it. They really wanted it badly, and they got it. Peter?
President Trump, something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend.
Oh, here we go.
How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see it for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said there must be something wrong with him.
That's not why we're saying that. You have a chronic vein insufficiency and you are swelling in your hands and ankles and you look like a sick fuck. You look like you're sick. And by the way, your White House says to us that you are just bruised on the hands because you're shaking people's hands all day long. That's crazy, though, that Peter actually asked him, is he dead? Trump was clearly not prepared for that. I'm surprised nobody briefed him that somebody was going to mention that. That's insane.
Biden wouldn't do him for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own pretty nearby on the Potomac River.
So now he's talking about how he went golfing. He's so healthy, he went golfing, which, by the way, again, not working for the American people, not doing anything to alleviate your concerns economically, your concerns about war, your concerns about healthcare. But he was so healthy, he went out and golfed. So everything's all good, folks.
And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff. Well, it's fake news. You know, it's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying, like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it to that extent. Go ahead.
Were you active this Labor Day helping people who do labor in this country? Were you active this Labor Day actually working? No. And I understand everybody is a human, and a human needs to take some time off, and the president will go golfing whether we like it or not. But the reality is, it's not just about the fact that he was maybe gone for a few days. You are getting worse and worse, and it's not even just your physical health, but we can tell your mental sharpness is not there. You're not already, you're already not the right guy to lead the country, but your mind is slipping. It's becoming more deranged, more extreme. So I'm glad at least someone has asked him about that so far. Let's continue to see if they actually press him on this.
Peter.
We know that this country has a huge problem with school shootings. You've said that you're open to sending the National Guard pretty much anywhere. Would you ever consider sending an armed National Guardsman to every school?
Well, we have a big problem with school shooting, but we also have thousands and thousands of schools that run perfectly. You know, they talk about you can do things construction-wise, and that's really, I think nobody knows more about construction than me. You can build the construction doors, you can build what they call safety doors, where they lock on the outside, the inside, and every place else. Well, but if one of these lunatics happens to get through, then the police can't get in. Then they're looking for keys all over the place, and it takes them. I mean, a lot of disadvantages to doing, spending billions.
I mean, ironically, he's like debunking Fox News and far-right extremists right now who are like, oh, well, we don't need gun control. We just need to make safer doors and bulletproof doors and metal detectors. Well, then how are the police going to get in? And by the way, you're not answering his question about putting National Guard. But let me know in the chat right now, would you like National Guard to be positioned at would you like your children to go to school where there's a soldier with weapons standing there scaring everybody? I don't think so.
And billions of dollars, and actually making it safer in some way for some of these lunatics that we're dealing with. But I don't think so. I've thrown out the concept. We have great teachers that love our children. The parents love the children. Teachers love the children too. And if you took a small percentage of those teachers that were in the military, that were distinguished in the military, that were in the National Guard, et cetera, and you let them carry, that's something that a lot of people like. I sort of liked it. I'd happy have.
Oh, nothing like the idea of having public school teachers, some who could be veterans, some who could be dealing with PTSD, bring a gun to school and have a gun in a classroom full of fourth graders and fifth graders. That sounds like a great idea, Mr. President. I love the idea of giving weapons to every teacher. Surely none of them are going to have problems, right? There's not going to be a teacher that might have mental illness. There's not going to be a teacher who might have PTSD, maybe gets mad at a student. And surely no students are going to find that weapon. Great idea, sir. Great idea, Mr. President. You're really saving the children of America.
To be studied, but they're trained. They know about weapons. You can't do it with every teacher because most teachers don't know, and But I always thought that would be an alternative. But it just we've had a lot of instances. Other countries have also. They have different kinds of problems than we have, but we do have. There's something going on, and it's a bad thing. Yes, please.
It's so fucking sad. It's so pathetic that we have this failure of a president who will allow for the next 3 years, or as long as he's still fucking alive, children to be massacred every month in this country because he's too big of a fucking coward and too incompetent to actually do anything helpful to help children. Anything. I ranted about this last week. They're still going back to their thoughts and prayers playbook, even though the children of Minneapolis were literally praying. And you heard Sean Hannity on Fox News say, well, if there was a metal detector in the school, they were in a church. So that didn't work. And the shooter shot through the window. Maybe we need to look at the weapons of war that people are buying easily. People are getting easier than you could get your driver's license to massacre children under this administration's watch.
Have you spoken with President Putin in the past week? Have you spoken with President Putin in the past week?
Yeah, I don't want to. I have learned things that will be very interesting. I think in the next few days you'll find out.
Classic Trump answer too, by the way. You're going to find out some information in the next few days. You're going to hear about a peace deal in 2 weeks. He may not have even spoken to Putin. What a joke.
Consequences if there isn't some type of announcement of a meeting with President Putin and President Zelensky? And what could those consequences be?
We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week they lost 7,000, between the two countries, 7,313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact, for no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, but they're soldiers. I want to see it end. Yeah.
Have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died.
It's almost like this is connected to the school shootings. It's almost like maybe we should just try to get weapons off the streets. But at the same time, this far-right extremist thug is saying what evangelical Christians are saying, what the NRA is saying, which is we need to give guns to teachers. Well, you want more guns out on the streets of our cities then? And you want more people to take guns with them when they go out after teaching? And you want more people to just shoot each other? You don't care if we just shoot each other, if we just kill ourselves. That's the reality. And so they don't actually care about gun violence in Chicago because they don't care what happens to black and brown people that are largely the victims of gun violence in Chicago. They don't care about them. They care about their white billionaire donors, and they care about sending a message to Democrats that they will take power and try to rig the midterms.
And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible. If we didn't put out the fires, and I mean the other fires, the bullet fires, they didn't do a good job with it.
What bullet fires are we talking about? The only bullets were coming from National Guard firing non-lethal bullets. And by the way, we say non-lethal. They struck reporters, and these shits, they hurt. They injure people and could kill people. And people will die if the National Guard accidentally fires at somebody. It's going to be a Kent State, Ohio situation all over again. The parallels are uncanny.
They should have had the water coming down, like I said. You know, we had to release the water. We had to go in and release the water to LA. It's so badly run. But if I didn't send the National Guard into...
How does his administration not get so fed up with listening to this guy, by the way? It's 1 week later, nothing's improved in the country. Things are getting more expensive. Things are less safe because ICE goes around kidnapping people. And he's still talking about the water, this imaginary faucet that he wants to just open up so that California is like a magical rainforest. What? We're living in fucking reality. What world are you living on?
Los Angeles. I would be making an announcement today. I'd be talking about Huntsville, and I'd simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles. If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, the top law enforcement person in Los Angeles said, we could not have handled it without them. So that's what he said.
Make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look,
This is the first time, by the way, I want everybody to make sure they heard that. This is the first time he has made it official. He says, we're going in. They're going to Chicago. This is not hypothetical. And this could be the worst, the scariest, the most chaotic situation yet. Because LA was one thing. It was a test trial. And DC is another example. But DC has different jurisdiction. He had different power in DC. But when he goes into Chicago, into an area that is much more dense than LA. Remember, LA is a big city, but LA is sprawling, right? It's a massive county. Chicago is dense, right? A lot of people living in a much smaller circumference. This could get out of hand. This could backfire badly. And if this was really about crime, he would be coordinating with the Chicago Police Department. So much for Blue Lives Matter, I guess.
An obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called DC, District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave.
It's so funny listening to him talk about crime when his family is defrauded billions of dollars. He's never paid his taxes. He was literally found guilty. He's a literal criminal. And he actively steals from the American people on a daily basis by taking your money away in the form of tariffs because everything's getting more expensive and giving massive tax cuts to billionaires. But let's distract everybody by making them think that I'm the hero that's going to stop petty crime by sending the National Guard and letting them pick up trash in DC. What a fucking disgrace to our country this whole administration is.
Talking about it, you made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in DC. Washington, DC is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad. Really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week. You know, it was like years, many years, where every single week somebody was killed for many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had, last week it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem. And we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful. And the police commission has been very helpful. And it's been.
If they've been so helpful, why aren't you talking to Chicago PD? Why aren't you getting Chicago PD involved? Why haven't you talking to any local state leadership in Chicago, Illinois? It's not about crime.
A great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me. I gain respect for him and say, we do have a problem and we'd love you to send in the troops because you know what? The people, they have to be protected. I saw today on one of your networks, not a friendly network, except really the opposite, I would say, very unfriendly network. And they interviewed about 12 people on this morning. Most of them were African American, who were black. And they were saying, please, please, please let the president send in. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help. We need help. We can't walk outside. We're petrified. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country.
He doesn't have the right to do it, by the way. It's unconstitutional. The party that claims to care about the Constitution only uses it as a prop when it's convenient for their political gain. And by the way, it was just ruled today that what he was doing in California was unconstitutional, that National Guard can't be used to detain people, arrest people. And we'll see if he obeys the courts. But the courts are here for a reason. The courts are what makes us different from other countries, that we have a constitutional republic.
And that includes Baltimore. I saw where Governor Moore was asking me to take a walk down the street of Baltimore.
People are like, he has the right. He's the president. What do you want, a fucking dictator? Because you've made that clear already. You don't want to be an American. You don't care about the Constitution. You want a fucking dictatorship. Well, then go move to North Korea, asshole. Because in the United States of America, we don't have fucking dictators, okay?
Well, Baltimore is a very unsafe place. It's rated number 4 in the city. One of the most unsafe places anywhere in the world. But, you know, we took care. This was a beautiful thing that happened in Washington because we showed that it could be done. And this wasn't just sending big, strong guys, and they are big and they are strong. You know, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court that had to do with sort of talent. It had to do with you are put down based on merit. You can hire based on merit. So merit for a soldier or for a policeman is strong, physically fit, having a certain ability, not a person that is woke and got the job through woke, but wasn't strong enough to lift a gun out of the hole.
He doesn't sound very strong right now. He does not sound like he's in strong health. Maybe he's woke. Maybe he got infected by the woke mind virus. Maybe that's the illness he's dealing with. Obviously, I'm being facetious.
Et cetera, et cetera. No, I looked at the police. As you know, last week I went over, we had a meeting there had to be 300 people, and they were all very impressive looking. And when the bad guys see them, they're not going to do a thing. And so I'm very proud of Washington. It serves as a template, and we're going to do it elsewhere. But Chicago is certainly going to be high. I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, sir, we need help. It's out of control. And everyone knows it is. He's not kidding anyone. I would love to have, I would say, Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good.
Why do you think people become criminals, by the way? I know the answer. Lack of affordable housing, lack of opportunity, an economy that does not work for people, makes people desperate, makes people act desperate, do desperate things, join a gang, rob somebody, do something to feed their family, do something to stay alive. And maybe they get hooked on drugs that were put in the neighborhood by white billionaires like yourself. But Governor Moore has a good point. Providing more affordable housing would help people afford to live, and it would help people stay alive and stay well instead of joining gangs, instead of robbing people. But Trump doesn't see it that way. He's looking for the quickest, cheapest deal because he wants to fix something right now. He wants to put lipstick on a pig to make it look pretty right now while he's alive and he's president, but he doesn't care about the ramifications beyond his time.
In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat.
Do you people really think that people are born to be criminals, or is it the result of a broken system that some people want to improve and some people don't want to improve, like Trump, that allows people to become criminals?
And they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place. And you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else that they have, right? But you can walk right down the street, even by yourself, and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am, please.
Mr. President, as you're calling on Democratic leaders across the country to work with you on crime, do you see your efforts here in D.C., including, for example, working with Mayor Bowser here as a model for bringing more bipartisanship in matters not only with crime, but also issues that matter to everyday American people's lives?
So Mayor Bowser's been great. She could have taken...
He does not sound healthy. Every time he starts to talk, his voice sounds hoarse. It sounds cracked. Something sounds really off about him. Not to mention, what a softball question, by the way. Way to make it seem like it's the Democrats who are the ones that don't want to address crime, when in reality, it's people not wanting the National Guard to invade their cities when that doesn't solve crime.
The thing, oh, well, and then after I clean it up, they'll take credit for it. You know what they do is they take credit. Like, we cleaned up Los Angeles. We did a great job there. And it was overwhelming what was going on. And again, the police chief made a statement that we could not have done, there's no way they could handle it. You saw what was happening out there. It was going to be a disaster. We stopped it cold. If we didn't do that, would have been a very sad day. And you know, remember, we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have all these things coming, and we have 250, all of these things coming. But I watched Newsom get up and say he's doing a great, he's not, we're the ones that did it, and that's okay, whatever it takes, but the main thing is but he got up and said, we did it. Well, he didn't want us there, and he's going to need us again because it's starting to form again. I see it. It's starting to form again. You know, we have to maintain.
What is starting to form? What is he talking about? I'm here in Los Angeles. I'm looking out the window right now. People are going to work. People are doing their jobs. It's great. What is he talking about? I don't understand. But people who are watching this, who are Trump supporters, they've either never been to some places that he's talking about, or they just believe everything Trump says because they don't do their own research. It's really sad.
It's like maintenance on an airplane. You can buy it, but you have to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it, a good plane becomes very unsafe very quickly. So it's an honor to do it. It's a lot of presidents wouldn't do what I'm doing. I don't need this heat, but when I watched television last night and I'm watching the news and I see that 9 people were killed in Chicago and 54 were badly wounded with bullets, I say, that's not this country. We have to do something.
Why is this motherfucker like laughing back here? Like, he thinks it's a game. He thinks it's funny that, like, yeah, people are losing their lives. But all Trump is doing is he's going to try and take credit for it. He's going to be like, look, I fixed it. during this 1 year of my presidency. But then when problems persist in the future because we're not addressing the actual root causes of these issues, then they're going to blame whatever Democratic administration is in charge at that moment, even if they start implementing actual solutions to the root causes that could maybe fix issues for the long term, but they're not going to take credit for it in the short term the way Trump is trying. It's a complicated thing, but it really isn't.
And I do say this, I say this very much, I'm not speaking to anybody but them. I love to receive calls from governors and mayors saying they need help. We'll help them. We have a lot of people. We have a great force. We have a great military force. You know, Pete will tell you that when I was running for office, and this was a big headline, I think, probably got me a couple of votes, but you couldn't sign people in the military. Nobody wanted to join the military, the Army, Air Force, the Navy, Marine, Space Force, Coast Guard. We never forget Coast Guard because they've done such a great job. Never. But nobody wanted to join any of them. We were way below what we wanted. Every single one. The closest was the Marines, whatever that is. You'll explain that to me. But the closest was the Marines. But every service was way down, way down. And then I got elected, and our country's the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. Everybody's talking about the USA. They're talking about the job that we're doing. Everybody, we're the best in country.
They're talking about how we're a nation in decline under Trump. And by the way, it just came out that tourism is down to the United States. Out of most countries, the United States, one of the only countries where tourism is down now. Why would anybody in their right mind want to visit the country now? By the way, I know a lot of people are watching from overseas. If you are interested in visiting the United States, you can most likely do so. It'll be fine. And I encourage you to come here because we are not defined by this administration. There are still more good people here than there are fascist thugs like this. But you do need to be more vigilant because you never know. You could be snatched off the street by an ICE agent. You could find yourself in a city where National Guard walks around with guns. It's turning into a third world nation because Trump is making it that way.
Economy. We have a very, very important decision being made by the Supreme Court because our country is the richest, the strongest, the most powerful. But if for some reason some liberal court, I'm talking about the court that just ruled, where even an Obama judge voted in favor of us, which I gave him a compliment yesterday, as you know. I said that took great courage. But it's a liberal court, and it's going up to the Supreme Court, who I think have been incredible people. I think they've made very wise decisions. But the tariff question, because without the tariffs, this country is in serious, serious trouble. We've taken in almost $17 trillion of investment is coming in. Most of it is coming because of tariffs. And if for some reason somebody wanted to be politically correct, I actually think it's unpolitically correct. I think politically correct is to approve it because there's nothing so popular as what's happened to our country. Our country is doing so well. But we had a liberal court gave us a very shocking ruling. And that ruling is basically saying that the trillions of dollars that are pouring into our country, putting us in a position like no country is anywhere in the world, that they'd like to see us that taken away. By the way, a lot of the people behind that lawsuit, that particular, are from foreign countries. I might add.
Everything he said just now is so confusing, by the way, and not accurate. That is so bizarre. I don't know. I don't even understand what he's saying.
There's a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residence upstairs and somebody has thrown a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably AI generated.
It literally is not AI. It was real. What?
Actually, you can't open the windows. You know why? They're all heavily armored and bulletproof.
A fake video.
Well, it's got to be because I know every window up there. The last place I'd be doing it is that because there's cameras all over the place, right? Including yours. No, but
What the fuck? Cameras literally caught it. It's all over the internet. What? Nobody briefed him on that? Nobody said, hey, they might ask you about that. Now you're just going to tell us that what we see is AI? You don't even know what AI is, bud. And neither does your Secretary of Education, by the way. She calls it A1. shows you what kind of administration we're dealing with.
Window, I've never seen a window that's, in fact, my wife was complaining about it the other day. She said, love to have a little fresh air come in, but you can't, they're bulletproof. And number one, they're sealed, and number two, each window weighs about 600 pounds. You have to be pretty strong to open them up. No, that has to be, where was the window? Let me see.
Wow, they're actually showing it to him? That's crazy.
Which is the window?
It looks like this is on the 15th Street side, I think. So right here.
Yeah, those windows are sealed.
What? Are you kidding me? What is going on? This is so bizarre right now.
Those windows are, they're all sealed. You can't open them. It's the kind of thing they do. And one of the problems we have with AI, it's both good and bad. If something happens really bad, just blame AI. But also they create things, you know, it works both ways.
What? Dude, you literally just said if something not good happens, blame AI. That's exactly what you're doing. You're saying that what is real is just AI. You're like, oh, well, this doesn't reflect well on our administration. Blame AI.
If something happens that's really bad, maybe I'll have to just blame AI. But there's truth to it because I see so many phony things. I saw something as I was growing up, from the time I was a baby till now. I said, who did that? It was AI generated. So it's a little bit scary, to be honest with you. But those windows are all very heavily sealed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I follow up with what you were saying regarding that federal appellate court that ruled against you and your administration as it relates to your ability.
Well, they ruled against our country, the court, and they ruled against us before. It's a very liberal court. Well, it certainly is. It certainly is.
In fact, it was along ideological lines, 7-4.
Well, except that we actually got one of the Obama judges that was appointed by President Obama voted in favor of the tariffs because he felt it was imperative for our country to thrive and survive even. And I gave him credit. I said, you know what? That took a lot of courage for him to do it because you don't see that often.
My question is, I suspect you're going to appeal that all the way to the Supreme Court.
Well, we already have, yeah. In fact, we're doing something else. We're going to be going to the Supreme Court, we think, tomorrow, because we need an early decision. I mean, look, the financial fabric of our country, we're a rich, incredible country right now, and we're able to, you know, other countries use tariffs on us for years, and we never did. I did a lot during my first term, but then we had COVID, and we had to focus on other things. You couldn't be tariffing Italy, Spain, France, as they were dying by the thousands and millions. But we did with China, and China paid us billions and billions of dollars. And I started the process, but then I had to end it a little bit because of COVID. We focused on that. But no, it's a very important decision. And frankly, if they make the wrong decision.
By the way, if you're watching on TikTok right now, hundreds of you, come watch on YouTube so you can actually watch. Search Josh the Progressive or go to link in my bio. Join me on YouTube.
They said they're all happy. Everybody's happy. But some whack job put in a lawsuit. It went before a very liberal court, and the liberal court ruled, it was 11, they ruled 7-4, with one of the most liberal of them all voting in our favor because they're patriots. I think I give tremendous credit to that judge. And now it's going to the Supreme Court. Now we're going to be asking for early admittance. We're going tomorrow, and we're going to ask for an expedited ruling because, you know, when you look at the stock market's down today, the stock market's down because of that. Because the stock market needs the tariffs. They want the tariffs. If you look at AI, all of those, you know, all of that money that's going to be invested, trillions and trillions of dollars, the biggest thing, bigger than the internet, I suspect. It's the internet plus 3 or 4 other things combined. We are leading very.
Hey, thanks for being here for the first time, by the way. A lot of people have mentioned. I want to make it clear because I don't know if you heard me. If you're watching on TikTok, hundreds of you right now, thank you for being here. Join me on YouTube. Go on YouTube, search Josh the Progressive. It's my same username, or you can literally just go to my profile on TikTok and go to the link in my bio. It'll be a link tree. You'll see YouTube. You can watch on your phone, your computer, your TV. I have the Trump feed actually pulled up so you can watch it in real time with me. And let me know that you came from YouTube and subscribe as well so you never miss a video.
Substantially with AI. we're leading because of tariffs. We're leading because of talent, and this is where they'd like to be. But without the tariffs, we wouldn't have a chance because we wouldn't be able to protect those investments of the companies coming in. So if you took away tariffs, we could end up being a third world country. That's how big the ruling. So we're asking for an expedited ruling.
As a backstop to that, President, you have a Republican-controlled Congress. You control the House. You control the
Yeah,
Senate.
but we don't have 60 votes. We don't have 60 votes.
You
I'd love to do that. Oh, if we had 60 senators, if we got the 60 votes, we would get them. But we need 60 votes, and we need, a certain number in the House. I think we'd get, I don't know, we have about 5 of them.
That's the risk of Donald Trump trying to rig the midterm elections, is he would love to get to 60 votes. And by the way, for people who say, oh, we're not going to have elections, I push back on that because I know they want to have elections because they want to increase their margin of power. They want to increase their margin of victory in the Senate. So I think they absolutely want to have elections, which is why it's so important that we stop what's happening in Texas, where they're trying to redraw voting maps to cheat for Trump. Why Californians in particular have to vote for Governor Newsom's initiative to counter what far-right extremists are doing to try and rig the midterms.
Yeah, would everybody agree with me on tariffs? Without tariffs, we're a different country. We have taken in so much money. And here's the thing. We signed a deal with Japan. They're paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. We signed a deal with South Korea. We signed a deal with the European Union. We signed a deal with Europe. And those countries are paying us $950 billion, and they're happy about it. They're okay. As one of them said, it's amazing that we got away with it so long. One of my friends, a leader of one of the countries, and they're fine with it. They all signed. If that ruling ever went against us, I guess we'd have to give back hundreds of billions. We would have to give trillions and trillions of dollars back to countries that have been ripping us off for the last 35 years. And I can't imagine it happening. On a legal basis, they have no legal basis whatsoever. But on a common sense basis, it would destroy America. Okay.
You talked about controlling the sky. On Sunday, the satellite signal Ursula von der Leyen's plane was led.
With Ursula? Well, she had an interesting event. She's a tremendous woman. And so what are you asking me about her?
NATO was concerned about
NATO was concerned about her. Well, nobody knows where it came from, but they did take away her ability to use a phone. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that could happen to me. I'd be very happy.
I don't know what they're talking about. I can barely hear that reporter.
What does that mean?
Are you considering taking away some of the tariffs that you've imposed on India?
No, we get along with India very well, but India has, you have to understand, for many years it was a one-sided relationship. Only now since I came along, and because of the power that we have with tariffs, India was charging us tremendous tariffs, about the highest in the world. They were about the highest in the world, number one. And we therefore weren't doing much business with India, but they were doing business with us because we weren't charging them. Foolishly, we weren't charging them. So they would send in massive, everything they made, they'd send it in, pour it into our country. And therefore it wouldn't be made here, which is a negative. But we would not send in anything because they were charging us 100% tariffs. And, I'll give you an example, Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson couldn't sell into India. There was a 200% tariff on a motorcycle. So what happens? Harley Davidson went to India and built a motorcycle plant. And now they don't have to pay tariffs. Same thing as us. So what we're doing is literally thousands of companies are coming into the U.S. Car companies, AI, but more traditionally car companies. We have so many car company factories under construction or being designed right now. And they're coming from China, they're coming from Mexico, I must tell you, and they're coming from Canada. A lot of them are coming from Canada. But they're coming into our country because they want to build here. And they want to build here for two reasons. Number one, they'd like to be here. And number two, the tariffs are protecting them. And number three, they want to avoid paying tariffs. When they build their cars here, they don't have any tariffs to pay. When you build here, you don't have any tariffs.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
In light of
the Minnesota shooting last week, the Department of Homeland Security is now awarding more than $100 million to hundreds of faith organizations across the country to help them ramp up security. What's your vision for further protecting religious liberty across the country amid incidents of threats?
So religious liberty is so important, and we're talking about every religion now, and we're doing things on that nobody else has ever done, and we're going to be announcing, we're going to be having.
I love how like even Trump is somewhat liberal enough to be like, we're talking about every religion. Remember, Trump was a Democrat, and he only pretends to be like a Christian when it's convenient for him. He really probably doesn't care about other religions that much because he's probably not even religious. But it's funny, like the guys in the background were like, what? You meant other religions too? Like Jews and Muslims? Disgusting. Because these are all Christian nationalists we're dealing with.
A big announcement in about 2 weeks on that question. Yeah, please.
On Space Command, sir, are you concerned that people may not be willing to relocate from Colorado to Alabama?
No, I'm not worried. We'll get somebody else.
Colorado.
I mean, the problem.
Oh, what happened to my video? Time out. Let me make sure the video is not frozen. Hang on. Time out. I want to make sure that everybody can see. Seems as though we have lost the feed. Give me 1 sec, everybody. There we go. Cool. Oh, that changed. There we go.
Colorado is they have a very corrupt voting system. Look, I have so
Oh,
many
the video's
friends in
frozen.
Colorado. Anytime you have mail-in voting.
Interesting. Thanks for the heads up, everybody. That's very concerning. Okay, I'm going to fix that real quick. Hang on.
With this commission, they set up a commission with him and Scoop Jackson and some people, highly regarded people. And they said the one thing, the finding was, if you have mail-in voting, you will have corrupt elections. Well, your radical left governor decided that he was going to have all mail-in voting in Colorado. Once you have all mail-in voting, and for whatever reason, the Democrats cheat. And they cheat like, they're not stupid. That's the only thing. They're no good on policy. They're no good on management. They're no good at government. But they're great at cheating. And they stick together, too. I give them credit for sticking together. Please.
Obviously, this is a big win for national security, moving this to Alabama. We all can agree with that.
Big.
Is there any idea of the economic impact this has on the state and on that local area?
Katie, do you want to answer that?
Look, I mean, go ahead.
Please go.
This is going to be tremendous. I mean, the state of Alabama, what we've seen through this process is the worst of Washington. We've seen politics get in the way of what is best for the warfighter, what's best for national security. And the state of Alabama is about to show the country the best among us. So we know the economic impact is going to be tremendous. There at Redstone Arsenal, we're proud to house everything from the FBI to headquarters there for material command to a number of things. We obviously have NASA with Marshall Space Flight Center, and so this naturally fits within. When you look at the decision matrix that they placed in front of us, that's why we ranked so high, is because we have the resources necessary and the ability to build out quickly to meet the needs in front of us. As far as economic impact, it would be tremendous. Does anybody have an exact number? 1,600 jobs.
3,000 spin-off.
With 3,000 spin-off. Look at this. This is teamwork right here. So we are really proud, and the people of Alabama are ready to get to work.
And I've got a housing question, if you could, just for a second, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
please.
Owning a home and going about the American dream seems like it's out of touch for a lot of Americans. Just recently, you pushed out a statement about addressing an emergency housing situation.
That's right, we're thinking about doing that.
Yeah, can you just...
Well, we need a little help from the Fed. We have a man named Jerome Too Late Powell. You probably heard of him. He's too late. He's way too late. And the economy is so strong that it's pushing through that. Normally, it would have been much tougher, but we're doing so well that we're pushing through it. But it makes it very hard for people to get mortgages because too late is too late. Very simple. He's too late. And probably political, whatever. He wasn't too late before the election. Before the election, he was cutting rates, right? Because he was hoping that, I guess, Biden would get in or that Kamala would. He was a big Biden guy. Explain that one. And then he was a Kamala person. But he was hoping, I guess, she'd win, I guess. I don't know. It didn't work out too well. But, yeah, we need a very serious cut. You know, I think that if you look back many decades ago, the United States was always the lowest, even if they were doing badly. The United States was, because without the United States, everything in the world would die. It's true. It's so powerful. It's so big. And I made it really big in the first 4 years. Then it started to degenerate with what this Biden administration did. But we built it up to a level that I never thought we could be at this quickly. We're the hottest, we're the best financially. The money coming in is so big because of tariffs and other things, but because of tariffs. Tariff gets us even those other things. Plus, it gets us great negotiating. I settled 7 wars, and numerous of those wars were because of trade. And numerous of the trade deals that I made were because of tariffs. It gives you a great negotiating ability. If that ability were taken away from us by a liberal court acting on essentially foreign nations, asking to get help from the United States government, when they've been doing this to us for 40 years. That's why we have $38 trillion in debt. We won't have it for long if they let us, if they allow us to do what everybody knows we should be able to do. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, another Biden-era action that you're now reversing is that you signed a deal last week to make federal buildings adopt and embrace classical architecture styles again. Can you talk to us about why you do that, and also what's your vision?
Well, we want to see beautiful buildings. Now, you know, it's in the eye of the beholder. I've seen architectural reviews over the years. I'm an expert at it. I've gotten a lot of great reviews. But I've seen buildings that I didn't think were very good get great reviews, and I've seen great buildings get bad reviews. So, but it's just a standard. We want to have a good standard. We're building something here, you know, for 150 years they wanted a ballroom at the White House. We're doing something at the highest level, using great architects and all. And, you know, it's very exciting. But we have a lot of interesting things happening architecturally in D.C. And D.C. is like a different place. And, you know, even the contractor said, sir, we walked down today, we feel like much safer. It's like a different place. Washington, D.C. is great. Now, we're going to also beautify it. We're going to put a topping on the roads. We're not going to rip them apart and take 4 years to build a road that was exactly the same by the time you build it. But we're going to put toppings. We're going to put new medians in. We're going to get the graffiti off. We're going to put tiles up in the tunnels where the tiles are missing. We'll do the whole tunnel instead of, you know, a little area where you see new tiles, old tiles that never look too good. But they could use it. You know, they've been up for 50 years. They've served their duty. But we're going to make this within about a 20-mile radius from the White House. We're going to have this place spick and span. It's going to be crime-free, and it's going to be spick and span. It's going to be, you'll be proud of Washington again. Go ahead, please.
Sir, China's having a massive military parade that President Putin and Kim Jong-un will be attending. Do you interpret that as a challenge to this? And are you concerned at all about those countries?
No.
Trying to be some sort of counterweight?
Not at all. China needs us, and I have a very good relationship, you know, but China needs us. We need them. No, I don't see that at all, no. And I had actually a very good meeting with President Putin a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if anything comes out of it. If it doesn't, we'll take a different stance.
Everyone March today in California ruled that your deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles was illegal. Do you have any response?
Well, it was a radical left judge, but very importantly, what did you not tell me in that question or statement that you made? Pretty much of a statement, I think.
Well, I was asking for your response.
No, you didn't say what the judge said, though. The judge said, but you can leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can continue to be in place. That's all we need.
Oh, it's because I'm muted on the BRB, but for some reason it wasn't letting me unmute on. Okay, we're back. This is my assistant, by the way.
Is he dead?
He's alive still.
Why didn't you put that as part of your statement?
Everyone should be able to hear me now.
The same judge ruled exactly as you said, except the judge said that you could leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can stay, they can remain, they can do what they have to do. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you.
That should be the end anyway.
Thank you very much.
Yep. I apologize for technical difficulties near the end there. Had an issue where it looked like the video feed froze. We'll fix that moving forward. And then my mic stopped working when I tried to fix that naturally. But near the end, there wasn't much for me to comment on. What he was saying was most important. Hey, if you're still tuned in, I'm about to wrap up, but please tune in tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time or 7:30 Pacific. I'm going live at 10:30 Eastern. I'll probably live a few minutes before that because Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, two Congress members, are joining across the political aisle to hold a press conference with the Epstein victims to directly call out the corruption of the Trump administration. So please set your alarm for 10:30 tomorrow. The better thing to do is subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications. You can click that little bell icon. It's like a little alert, so you never miss an update on when my videos are coming. If you're still watching, like the video, comment on this video, and share it with one friend. That way people can watch it afterwards. I'll be uploading a video recap of part of this as well, so people can watch it after the fact. If you want to support me directly, I'm an independent content creator. You can send $1, $3, $5, $10 to me directly on buymeacoffee.com. That's linked in the description of this video, as well as Venmo. Anybody who does that, I always send them a personalized message. It's a great way to directly get in touch with me as well. And it helps me grow this channel, pay for equipment, and keep the channel on the right track. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Check out my other socials, TikTok, Instagram, etc. Stay vigilant, everybody, and fight the fascist Trump regime. Thank you for being with me for the past